Hey, good morning everybody. We're out here, Fancy and I. Say hi, Fancy. We're on our morning walk. It's a nice morning out here. It's not as hot and humid as it's been. In fact, it was so chilly I had to wear a long sleeve shirt this morning, which is a nice break. Oh man, so much to talk about, so little time. I'm walking down the road. Look at this. The corn on each side of the road is almost as tall as I am. There's a couple of places down on the other side of the house where it's taller already, which is awesome. I want to talk about that. But before I do, there's two things I need to address. Number one, apparently the evil billionaire and fence tire video grossed some people out. And I apologize. That was not my intention. I was just sharing the information that I had. So I apologize for that. Number two, if you're new to the channel, this is the first time you've seen one of these videos, go ahead and think about subscribing. We'd love for you to join us and come on this journey on a life done free with us. All right. So what was I thinking about this morning? And why does what does corn have to do with it? The country's messed up. It's got a lot of problems. Simple fact is though, despite everything, we as Americans are still extremely blessed. And we need to understand that while we're going through the trials and tribulations that we're going through right now and what is most likely coming our way. If you guys think about it. Okay, first off, let's address the corn. These acres of corn, and there were soybeans in the intro to this video. They are just a small, minuscule fraction of the millions of acres of food that is produced in this country. We are the only country in the world where the lowest, most economically depressed people, I don't want to say depressed, but the lowest rungs of the economics ladder have an obesity problem. That's how much food we have in this country. Now, is it healthy? Is it all healthy, or is it good that they have an obesity problem? No, it's not. There's definite systemic problems there that are causing that. But the simple fact is, our lowest levels, lowest class. I'm going to use the word class, but I don't like that. I don't like using the word class. But the lowest class of people in this country are still ranked in the top, like 1 to 5% of people economically in the world, which it just blows my mind. And we need to look at this and we need to couch everything bad we see with the fact that yes, we are still very blessed. We complain about censorship. The government, it's been proven, the U.S. government, who is supposed to protect us against censorship, has censored the American people and is actively still trying to censor the American people. Yet they can't. They can do it in very harmful ways, but we still live in an era where we get more information available to us in a single day than people 200 years ago used to get in their entire lifetime. We have the ability to disseminate and gather information from various sources. And every person in the world should never be able, every person in America should never be able to say, I didn't know. Let's just put it that way. That's how much. Gun rights, Second Amendment. We talked about the First Amendment. Yeah, the other thing, the First Amendment. There's a revival going on in this country. People are falling away from apostate churches left and right. And, got a car coming. And major denominations are splitting and fracturing because people are leaving them because they've become apostate and they're not teaching the true gospel of Christ. So there's a huge revival. Yes, Christianity seems to be under attack, and religion in general seems to be under attack. And it is. And it's probably going to get worse. Simple fact is, there is a revival going on. Alright. Now, the Second Amendment. Gun rights are under attack, left and right. Hugely, as one ex-president would say. But, in reality, we live in one of the best times for gun owners in American history. At least recent American history. There are 39 states that have constitutional carry now, where back in whenever the assault rifle ban, it was only like 20. We have access to a larger and more varied variety of firearms and calibers. The development in firearms is just going gangbusters. And this is one of the reasons why it's so under attack, is because things are going our way and people are becoming, well, they have the ability to become armed more readily than they have in the past. And that's the reason why they're attacking it more viciously and more often. The legal system is a wreck in most places. But in most of the country, it works like it's supposed to. You get outside the big blue dots, and the legal system in America is still pretty damn robust. We have the ability to, well, we've got time. Probably the most precious asset that any of us have is time. And despite everything that's going on in this country, the mosquitoes are out. Man, just got bit in the back of the head. Despite everything that's going on, we still have time to insulate ourselves from what's coming and to try to correct what's happened. Which, in a lot of places, that's not the case. In a lot of places, even first world countries, Europe, some of the major countries in Europe, their immigration crises have reached a critical point, and they're out of time. They are dealing with stuff in some countries in Europe that we can't even imagine right now. So as Americans, we're extremely blessed. Now, I used to be accused, well, I still am at times, of being a pessimist. And I used to counter that with, no, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. But I've come to figure out that it was an innate stoicism inside me that I just as part of my nature I had. And what I'm talking about is, whenever I'm presented with a situation, my default reaction is to think about the most probable negative outcome, right? Hang on a second. Hey, sorry, Fancy got her leg tangled up in the leash. But as I was saying, my default reaction was to look at the most probable negative outcome and start preparing from there. Start approaching the problem from there. What's the worst possible thing that could probably happen here? And we'll start from there. And yes, it did lead to a little self-induced anxiety as I was growing up. Before I understood what I was doing, it did lead to some of that. And people looked at me and said I was a pessimist because I was always expecting the bad thing. But in reality, excuse me. In reality, I was always pleasantly surprised whenever things worked out, because I was always expecting them to fail. And through my life, that approaching it that way allowed me to lay a groundwork for alternatives should whatever happen, whatever was supposed to happen didn't happen. And it saved our bacon. It saved our family's bacon a couple of times. Most notably with the whole COVID shot and me changing jobs and moving out here to Kansas. Had I not been a pessimist and been expecting to lose my job for decades, I would not have put myself in a position where I could have done that. And I did that all in the face of living in the most prosperous country. Let's talk about some other things that are going really well for us, that we're extremely blessed. The corn, the food in this country. Going back to that. Yes, there are some people in this country that go to bed hungry through no fault of their own. But most people who are in that situation, and this goes same with homelessness, most people in the country that are in those situations because they made bad choices, right? And I'm not saying that in a negative. I'm not saying anything negative about their choices. I'm not making any judgment call. What I'm saying is that there are alternatives to the choices that people make. You want to have a 99.9% guarantee of not living in poverty in America. Here's the 3 things you got to do. Number 1, finish high school. Graduate from high school. Number 2, get a job. And number 3, get married and stay married before you have a kid. You do those 3 things, and statistically, that's not just me saying that. Statistically, you're almost guaranteed to not live in poverty. Hang on. Why are you being a monkey, wrapping herself around me? But how many people don't do that? I know a lot of people that are successful even despite not following that equation. They became successful. So one of the key components of Marxism is class warfare. Class envy, truly, is what it is. And one of the reasons why we are going through this whole rigmarole about sex and gender is because the class warfare idea in America failed. Even today, with all the problems we have, it failed. So the Marxists had to change directions. They had to pivot, and they had to find something else to cause problems. So the second one, after the class warfare thing failed through the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and into the 50s, the next thing they started attacking was race warfare, the different races. And it has by and large failed too. And again, here's the proof that the race warfare card failed them, is that we live in such a racist society that the demand for racism outstrips the actual racism. So they have to find racism. They have to make racism, the fake race hate claims, and the finding all these new, coming up with all these new theories about race, the inequalities in the race. If we were a truly racist country, they wouldn't have to do that stuff. And so they had to pivot, and they moved to sex and gender. And it just shows you exactly how great America is and how blessed we are. The fact that they have to change tactics because their ideologies and their tactics don't work in the face of American society and the opportunity that America gives people is just a tell on exactly how great and how blessed we truly are in those regards. Everybody has the same opportunity. You know, everybody doesn't start out on the same starting line. Everybody doesn't finish at the same starting line. But once the race starts, you've got as good an opportunity. Oh, look at that, Fancy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deer up there at the top of the hill. They haven't been out in a while. But you have the same ability to succeed in this country as anybody else. Yep, you may have to work harder. It may take you longer. You may not reach the heights that other people reach, but you've got the ability. All right, we're back at the house. You guys, thanks for watching. Anytime you turn the news on and they tell you how screwed up things are, or anytime somebody starts blackpilling you, telling you how screwed up things are, just try to remember what we talked about this morning and take some time and stop and reflect on your life in particular and the general state of things in the big picture. And just remember how exactly blessed we are here in this country. And we need to, A, thank God for those blessings, and B, we need to use those blessings to make things better. All right, to keeping things great and keeping things blessed and making things better. All right, listen, guys, got to go in, take a shower. You guys need to go get ready for work if you're not already there. And you got to go out today and live a life done free. Take care. Thanks, Milo.